it's attached its little feet to the rock. And that's how it attaches. Now, when the feet are attached to the rock, it's glued to the rock really hard. And if we were to pull the starfish off, we would pull these little tube legs off. And do you think that would hurt the starfish?
Yeah.
It would hurt the starfish. Sometimes it would kill the starfish if we yank it off the rock. So we need to be very careful when we look at the starfish not to pull them off the rocks. Now sometimes we find them just on the sand and we can pick them up off the sand and take a look at them. And we don't want to hurt the starfish out here, do we? So this is a mussel bed, and the mussels are actually edible. They're the California mussels you can get in a restaurant.
Okay.
And then if you look in there, you'll see little snails in here too.
Okay.
And then there'll be lots of other little animals, critters too, limpets, and inside there might be some little crabs and worms, all sorts of things. Now the mussels, when they're larvae, they float, they're just plankton, and they'll get on to a rock or another mussel, and they actually secrete a substance which turns into a very hard thread called abyssal thread.
Okay. And
this attaches to another mussel or to a rock, and it's very, very strong.
Now you'll notice with the anemones is that they're all covered with little bits of shell. I know you probably don't believe it right now, but the sun does come out in Oregon, and they use those little bits of shell as sunscreen. They actually use their tentacles to pick up little bits of shell, and they place them on their bodies. And then when the sun's rays come in, the rays just bounce right off those little bits of shell. You ever seen people with the white zinc oxide on their nose? It's the same exact idea. Bounce. And all the hermit crabs, these are all hermit crabs that you're seeing. That one, that one, that one. And hermit crabs are kind of primitive. They don't have manners, very good manners. When they outgrow a shell and they're looking for a new shell, if that new shell happens to be on another hermit crab, they'll go and they'll drag that hermit crab out and they'll take that shell. And when the male wants to mate with a female, it'll just go find a female, it'll grab her by the claw and just drag her around until she's ready to mate. You can only see the tide pools at a low tide. Normally these rocks are covered with water when the tide is in. And the best time to go is at what we call a minus tide. And you'll get that twice a month, at the new moon and at the full moon. So you want a negative low tide. You'd have to get a tide table. You can pick up tide tables around at various businesses around the coastal towns, and you can also look up the tide table online.